Welcome to Jackaldigital. I'm Simon and today I'm going to get my haircut. No, I won't, but I will make a fan blade in DaVinci Resolve. Now let's get digital. So let's look at the fans that we'll be making today. We have a windmill fan, a submarine fan which is cool looking, and a graphics fan. So to start things off, right click in the media pool. If you don't have it open, open it, right click, new fusion composition, and make a fusion composition. I'll keep it to default as 5 seconds. And then put it onto the timeline, select it, and go into the fusion page. Now in the fusion page, to make the simple fan blade or the windmill fan blade, I'll be using a polygon and connect this to the background node so that we can see this. You can press 1 to display it on the left or 2 to display it on the right. With the polygon selected, you'll want to be in the center with the center point, or at least somewhere there, but this doesn't allow you to click in the center, so I'll make the first point here and make a shape. It doesn't matter what kind of shape it is, because we'll be fixing this shape. Now in the background we have the black color by default. I'll change this to gradient. I'll zoom in a little bit so that I can adjust the points. Maybe I want the light to hit from this place. I can change this later on. So with the black color selected, I can simply change it. Maybe something like that. Then with the background node selected, Control space to open the select tools, and we want to use a duplicate node. And what we'll be duplicating is the fan blade. So if I use 10 copies and I want a full circle, I have to go to the angle and do 360 divided by 10, which is 36. So let's see how this looks like. It doesn't look good. So I'll put 5 copies here, and 360 divided by 5 is 72. Now this looks okay, but I have to go back to the polygon and make some adjustments. Maybe something like that. Now as you can see, we have a 1920 by 1080 image. Now if I spin this around, which for that we use a transform node, we use the angle to animate this, and in case this is bigger, you can see that the blades get cut off, which is not what you want. So in that case you have to go to the background, go to image, uncheck the auto resolution and change the height to be equal to the width. So in this case I'll put 1920 by 1920. So now the fan blade spins like it should and it doesn't get cut off. But as you notice, the polygon did change slightly, so if you don't like the shape, you have to change it again. So I'll just scale this back down to 1. Now you have the fan blade done. If you want to apply a shadow, this background node affects individual blades, as you can see. So you can adjust the position here to affect individual blades, and to affect the whole design, you have to put the background node at the end of the composition. Now don't see anything, but the background does need to be in the foreground of the merge node. So to mask the fan blade out, we'll simply connect the duplicate, which is the fan, into the background. Now we have the shape, but it's black, it's not the color that we want. So with the background selected, you can go to the gradient. I've already changed the color and the position. Now this color overrides what I had here, so maybe instead of the blue I'll make this yellow. Now to apply this color to the shape of the blade, because maybe this color represents the actual blade shape, we go to the merge node, and in the apply mode maybe we change this to screen. Let's see what will work the best. So maybe multiply works the best. So this is the first blade design, and to animate it you would simply go to the transform node and animate the angle by maybe going to the beginning, keyframing this at 0, and then go to the end of the animation and do 360. And in case you then want to extend this duration, you would have to go to the spline, have transform selected, check the angle, zoom in to fit. We can maybe press S to ease in and ease out, And what you want to select is set loop, or actually, let's see, set relative. And this will then just continue with the animation. So this will now end, but if I go from this point on, in this case, because I use the set relative, the animation looks weird because the ease in and ease out happens when the original animation ends. So to fix that, go to transform, angle, zoom in. We could simply right click and use Shift L for linear, and now we won't have that transition. Now the next option is to use shapes. I've made a video how to make custom toolbars, so I'll just use the one I have, shapes. Otherwise you can find the shapes in effects, tools, and shapes, and you'll have all of the shape nodes here. So to make a blade, I'll use two ellipses, an S Boolean node, and to see anything we need render node. So I'll simply connect this quickly and display this on the right. Both ellipses have the same size, and now I can adjust the width and the height. So I switch the ellipses around with Ctrl T and chose subtract in the operation. Now I can make my fan blade. So this ellipse has to be smaller and the other one has to be bigger. And I can also adjust the angle to get a different shape. I will then use a transform node to position this in the center. So I need to adjust the offset, maybe something like that. And then we have the duplicate as duplicate for shape duplicate. I'll also make 5 copies, just like here. So 5 copies, and rotation will be 72 degrees. If you get a result like this, you will simply have to change the axis mode from origin relative to absolute, and you'll get the fan blade design. Now, as for the color, you have an S Boolean here. This basically overrides any color that's in the shapes. So this one is white and this one is blue. And the S Boolean here will have the color that you want. Now, as you saw, you can't change the color of an individual blade shape like we did here with the gradient, because this only has a solid color. So if you want to do that, you'll have to take out the duplicate and add the color here. So we'll add the background node, and we can do the same as before. So now we have the black color, and change this to whatever you want. We also have the option to do a gradient, after which you would then use a duplicate node, which is not the shape duplicate, but this duplicate. Now we'll do 5 copies and do 72 angle. So I have the same shape as before with this duplicate node, but now we also need the transform node to move things around. Transform. You have the same thing as before. Now to avoid any clipping issues, what you might want to do is change the resolution in this background node, but this won't do anything. Well, you'll get a cool result. So let's do 1920. So you can get something like this if you want. But to get a 1920 by 1920, you have to add the background node here as background and adjust the image size here, 1920, and make this transparent. So lower the opacity, and now we can do the animation using the angle. So go to the beginning, animate it, and spin it around how you want, just like that. So this is the second way how to do it. If you want to adjust the color of all of the blades, simply use this method after the duplicate. So you do this method here and continue with anything else that you want to do. I just remembered I didn't show you the last hand, so how you can do that. I've done it with 3 rectangles with shapes, rectangle shapes, not the polygons. Connect them to S Booleans. We'll use 2 of them. So let's just display it. And we need render node so we can actually see this. So you'll want to adjust the position of 1. like that. In the S boolean we'll have probably subtract, but switch these two nodes around. And this one needs to be wider, so no, higher, like that. And then we'll have not rectangle and an S boolean. Now this rectangle will be, let's see, so something like that. We can also adjust the angle. And maybe we want a not rectangle, just for the sake of it, and an S boolean. And this one will go at an angle again, but this time we want to cut it like that. So we have the base shape done. Now we can do this with shape nodes or with polygons, so let's do it with shapes. I'll use a transform node. Now I want the center to be here, so I'll adjust the offset. I'll also scale this down a little bit, typing equal, so both x and y are the same. And I'll adjust the offset again. Then I'll add a duplicate node. Make 5 copies at 75 degrees and absolute origin. Now we have this cut off, which is not what we want. So maybe I'll scale this down, maybe to this point. So maybe something like that. I can now increase the number of copies, maybe 8. And 360 divided by 8 gives us this shape. I can now use a second transform. I can now use the rotation to animate this. And to make a unique animation, I can maybe use another rectangle and an S boolean, just like that. Now the whole shape is visible, but we can adjust what we see. So maybe at the start this will be our location, so we'll adjust the X and Y offset. Let's see, maybe I'll start the animation on this height, so like that. Then we come in, like that, go down, come in again. Well, I don't have a high enough angle for me to go down again, like that. And then I could go just a little bit down, but this will not be visible because I don't have that much of an angle. But I hope you get the idea how this can be done. So if you look at the animation, it will look something like that. And lastly, we just animate the rotation from this point on, do something like that. So when this animation ends, it starts to spin. And now for the last example, which looks the best in my opinion, like Bob would say, it was a happy accident. So go to Effects, Templates, tap in Flare, and let's see which one I used. You'll want to use Lens Flare version 02, connect it to the background, and display it. With the Lens Flare selected, go to the inspector, go to L1 and disable the pentagons, and in the hotspot, disable the secondary strength, so you only have one of them. And I'll also position this back to center, so it's in the center. Now the options that will be changing are in the color and radial, so let's look at those. We can start playing around to see what we get, maybe something like that. Then adjust radial repeat, how many you want. Maybe I'll go with 5, maybe something like that. Then in the color, let's see what we can do. What we want to achieve at this point is to get the best contrast of the blade shapes and the space between the blades. But you can also come back to this point to get another cool looking shape. I went back here to adjust the points to get a better looking fan blade. And now let's continue with this point on. Let's add a transparent background so you don't have anything black. I'll connect it like so and Control T so the background is in the background, and lower the alpha and display this. Well, look at that, the blade is still black, and that's not what we want. So to fix that, I'll use a bitmap, but you have to connect it here. With the bitmap selected, I'll simply change the channel, maybe to red. It looks okay, but now as you can see the blade is transparent, which is not what we want. We want to fix that so we get a nice looking blade shape. So instead of having this background transparent, we'll put it back to black. Then what we can do is add another background node and connect it to the merge. Switch this to round, make this one transparent, and I'll add an ellipse, and mask the fan blade out, so something like that. And now I'll add another merge node, connect this to the background, this one to the foreground, and now I need another bitmap, and I'll mask out this contrast. So let's connect it, and maybe first display it, what we actually see. I'll change this, let's see, to red channel. We'll be adjusting this slider, so let's first connect it so that we actually see what we got. So maybe something like that. That looks nice. We can now use a transform node and animate it using the angle, just like before. And if you need to increase the size, you can go to this background node and adjust the size, 1920. And now we have a fan over the whole size if you want, so you can increase it like that. And if you have any strange artifact in between the fan blades, like I have a shadow here, we can go to this merge node. I'll add a polygon, and let's make a quick shape. Now I didn't do the best job, but what we can then do, as you can see, is to adjust the soft edge, and then also maybe adjust the border width if you want to get a better looking shape. And that's how you can make a 2D fan design in DaVinci Resolve 17, especially if you make a happy little accident. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you want to see DaVinci Resolve and video editing content, and hit the bell notification icon so you know when my next video comes out. I'm Simon, and until next time, Jackalls, keep it digital.